152nd Fixed Wing Squadron of the Slovenian Air Force at Cerklje ob Krki, and it's the Pilatus PC-9M Hudournik, which is the local word for swift. So, Captain Andrei Fiorelli then, starting his display straight into a barrel roll, putting the landing gear up, switching over to the 230-metre display line, quarter rolling onto the knife edge, and then another quarter roll to the inverted, and then he pushes straight up into the first of several negative G manoeuvres. Now, we talk about these being painful. Mark, why exactly is that?
On a positive G, the human body is used to positive G, and we have a number of technological elements that will protect the human body against positive G, but there is no G suit in the world that will protect you against negative G. You find yourselves hanging in the straps, the blood rushing to your head. Ultimately, it would cause something known as redout. Blackout is when the blood has thinned from the brain and you start to faint, but redout is when there is too much blood in the brain, and quite often it will result in a burst blood vessel in the eye.
Pulling back on the stick, going vertical, and this might look like he's going to perform a standard loop, but of course he throws in a complete roll at the apex. And now here's another example of what we're talking about. He's going to perform a stall turn. Just getting obscured behind a little bit of cloud there, but he's put in a roll on the way up. Good view now of how powerful the single Pratt & Whitney Canada PT-6A turboprop of 950 shaft horsepower is, as he describes a vertical S. Watch him as he traces the outline of an S in the sky. And then he's going to transition straight into a spin of 4 3/4 turns. And this is a good example, isn't it, Mark, of how precise this routine is?
Yes, most people would be lucky enough to control a spin to within 2 turns. In his description here, he talks about 4 3/4 or 4 1/4, depending on which runway is in use.
And he's therefore changed onto what we call the B-axis. When we talk about the A-axis, that's parallel to the main runway. The B-axis is at right angles to that. Rolling once again as he ascends.
Using every edge of the generous envelope of this advanced training aircraft and close air support aircraft. Plus 7G to minus 3.5.
A roll inbound straight towards us, and then he's going vertical once again, and he's doing another full vertical roll once again, and this will be his tail slide. Airspeed to 0, there, and back down he comes.
Just for a very short period of time there, the control surface is working in the opposite sense.
But now watch, because he's pushing out rather than pulling out, a negative G exit, and he's going to go straight from this into a negative half Cuban 8. So he's pushing again as he goes round down towards the right-hand end of the airfield. All of those unpleasant effects that Mark was... And then 1 1/4 rolls into a maximum rate turn at the display centre point in what is the most potent fixed-wing aircraft in the Slovenian Air Force's relatively small inventory.
Starting that 360-degree turn with 7G, bleeding back to about 5G. And a very good view, belly up there, of the 7 hard points, which give this aircraft a close air support capability. 7 hardpoints, 3 under each wing, the inner two rated at 250 kilograms and the outer rated at 110 kilograms. A lot of people do try to compare the power-to-weight ratio of this aircraft and others such as the Tucano with that of the Hurricane. Very similar horsepower, 1,150, very similar to the Merlin, which was fitted to the early Hawker Hurricane, but with the Hurricane's weight of 7,600 pounds and the aircraft you see in front of you of just over 5,000, the power-to-weight ratio is indeed very different.
Undercarriage down for now, but he will be retracting it pretty soon after that roll. The Slovenians use these aircraft for training, which is the raison d'etre of the PC-9 originally. Close air support, as Mark said, light attack, convoy protection. They can perform intercepts against slow-moving air-to-air targets and armed reconnaissances. And as a NATO member for more than 20 years now, they exercise regularly with other assets from around the alliance. Only recently, they've been taking part in the Major Iniokos exercise out in Greece, and they've conducted air-to-air live firing training alongside Hellenic Air Force F-4 Phantoms in the recent past as well. Rolling to the inverted then, and this is going to be a complete outside loop. And there he is starting the push. Up and up he goes. Attaining a precisely defined gate height at the top of the manoeuvre. Yeah, so a gate height being either a minimum height or a maximum speed required to complete the rest of the vertical manoeuvre. Out of our sight, behind a cloud again, he put in a roll on the top of that outside loop, and there he is completing it and then rolling the aircraft back upright. Not just through 180 degrees, but had to go round. Yes, at least twice. He's now flying what he terms a Humpty Bump. Again, multiple vertical rolls. This one being serial 18 of 20. Repositioning in the vertical for what I consider to be the best part of this display. Characterized as a 1.5 nautical mile slow roll. So Mark, the challenge of the slow roll is what exactly? At different parts of this very difficult manoeuvre, it's a combination of the three axes of control. So in the inverted, he's pushing forward. As he approaches the knife edge, feeding more rudder in, more top rudder, and then back to conventional flight. Very, very difficult, but absolutely nailed at 300 feet all the way through there. That was beautiful. Yes, that's become a bit of a signature of this display, and so has this. Rolling in the climb, pulling through, and this is his landing approach. You wouldn't believe it, but it is, because he's putting the gear down, he's putting the flaps down, and he is about to complete another display. He gave his first shows at the Air Tattoo back in 2015. 10 years later, he's as worth watching as ever from the 152nd Fixed-Wing Squadron of the Slovenian Air Force with the Pilatus PC-9M. We give you Captain Andrei Fiorelli